can I make this video any weirder or any convoluted? It's what? What's the connection between Cuban cigars, Star Wars, and a Humidor project? I'm Bob the Cigar Guy. This is podcast Renegades. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Camacho. That's right. And we're going to be smoking a cigar today. We're going to be smoking that Timeless Supreme by Ferio Tigo, a Nicaraguan puro. All tobacco comes from the same country, which happens to be the lovely Nicaragua. Yes, yes, yes. But I had a plan. And the video's already up because I had goals working on the lathe. If you haven't been here lately, I'm deciding to do multiple. All right, I'm gonna be honest. I do content. I work a lot, and I don't have time to do my projects. And so I had to kind of trick myself into doing projects. I've been wanting to do this project for a while, but I never have time because I always have content. And I said, well, if I turn it into content, then I have time to do it. And I want to do it. I want to build it. I want to have a good time doing it. But also, I think it may be valuable content for somebody who doesn't like to look at my face as much as they're all right with listening to my voice. And so it gives the ADD brain a little bit extra input so that you can watch this. And so we have taken a piece of black walnut, raw, just a log basically, cleaned it up, turned it into a cylinder, and now we are on the move. We've now got it to the pretty much finish diameter, which I think is 7 inches. And we are actually going to start separating things from there. And this is an interesting process because you have to think 10 steps ahead. You play chess, not checkers with this, because it's one piece of wood and you want the pieces to line back up. You want them all to fit. You want to have all your dimensions. So you're going to cut a chunk, and then you're going to take that chunk and you're going to hollow out the inside, and you're going to finish out the backside because you have to put a tenon, that big chunk at the end, which grabs onto the jaw, right? Grabs on into that vice thingy at the end, right? I know the name of it, but I just thought I'd use just non-proper words. Anyway, you can put in the jaw chuck, and it holds it there so it can spin. Well, when I cut it off of there, I still have to do more for the big part, and so I have to make another tenon so that'll grab or mortise. And I do tenons more than mortises. I don't. Mortise is the cavity. Tenon's the boy. Mortise is the girl. All right, figure it out, people. But with doing that, I don't like the mortise because I've had issues of it slipping, where it wants to slip and spin out. I find better that it grabs onto the tenon better. It actually has a ridge on the inside of the jaw chuck, and so it actually digs in and it kind of grabs it really good. And so I have to take and do all 3 pieces. There's going to be 3, maybe 4 pieces, because the bottom piece, which you're going to see, I spent an hour and change on this. I'll probably speed it up a little bit because I don't know this video go an hour, but I spent an hour and change on this because I wanted to get to a point to where I was separating parts. I wanted to get to a point to where we were actually doing things. So now the bottom piece that's going to be cut off, I know I'm doing all the spoilers. The bottom piece that's cut off is going to be the ashtray that sits at the bottom of the humidor. And if I do it right, the humidor jar itself, the cylinder, is going to sit on top of the ashtray. And so it's going to cover the ashtray. And depending on how much waste I have in the middle of the humidor, if I can get 6 inches in the humidor and I've got a good chunk of wood up top, then I'm going to make not just a cap, but I'm going to make a cap and then a compartment where I can put cutters and lighters and stuff like that. I really want to fancy it up. And then we're going to do some strapping banding to hold it all together. I don't know if I'm going to do some kind of locking hasps or if I'm going to do some old world leather strappage and carry it like a lunch pail kind of thing. I don't know yet. I haven't thought it through. One of the things that frustrates so many people that work with me on building things, like when I build this studio, we had Chief did a lot of work on the studio. And some good friends came out, did a lot of work on the studio. But this studio, literally, all the plans were right up here in the old noggin. Every last measurement, every last dimension, every last decision was never on paper. It was always in my head. That's how I work. And so I would dream about it over and 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 over again until I have done it to the point to where it's exactly the way I want it. I did that when I had Hot Rod and Custom Shop. I did that when I've done other projects and things like that. And so this is how I build. I build in my head before I put it down on paper. And so this humidor is a work in progress, and hopefully it will be successful. If not, it will be a total catastrophe. But you'll get to see it. I could do the easy, pretty thing and just cut and paste everything and just give you the shiny parts, because some of it is, I'm gonna tell you, it's boring. You're just watching sawdust fly. You're watching me do some measurements or something like that. But you know what? I want you to see what it takes, as much as true to time as possible. Like I said, I may speed this up because it was an hour. It was right at an hour of lathe work, of turning, and I don't know if this is gonna be an hour long video, so I might speed it up just to fit. But you're kind of gonna get to know how long it takes for me to make it. Now, you're probably much better than I am. It probably take a lot less time, but and you probably have better tools. But with my setup and my skill set, that's how long it takes. And so it's kind of neat to see what a craftsman does and how long it takes and why things cost what they cost. Cigars, for instance, this Ferio Tigo right here, this timeless Supreme Puro. Sometimes you don't think about the people who plant the seeds in the little seedling pods, and then they have to tend to it, and then they have to water it, and then they have to possibly top it, which is cut the top off the plant so that the roots get more aggressive and they dig in deeper. And then you've got all the farm stuff going, right? Planting and running the harvest, cultivating, and then you harvest it, and then you hang it in the barns, and then you take it from the barns, and then you put it in the aging rooms in the or you put it in the P-loan process, and you go through all of that. And you have to do a lot of changing, a lot of swapping, a lot of humidifying and all this other stuff. And then you got to take and you've got to grade it, and you got to put it into a cigar with a blend, and then you have to put it in the mold and the press, and then you have to take it back out, and then you have to color sort it, and you have to wrap it, and you have to put the bands on it, and you have to put the cellophane on it, and you have to put it in the box. There's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into this, and if you ever get a chance to go see any part of that process, you're gonna if you're like me, you're gonna be like, wow, I'm not gonna complain. That was a $15 cigar. I can't believe it's just $15, because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. A lot of craftsmanship, a lot of years of experience go into that. So this just kind of shows you, so smooth. It's the smoothness without being boring that I love about this cigar. And I'm trying to smoke whatever I smoked when I was working on lathe. I try to smoke during the day, so, or during the sit down video, so that when I do it, um, there's kind of a continuity, right? But there's no guarantee that that's going to happen every time. But this time it happened. Last time it happened. The time before it happened. So we're 3 for 3. Let's see how far it goes. How long is it going to take to build the humidor? I have no clue. Do I have other projects that I'm going to be doing right behind it? Yes, I am. One of the projects I'm thinking about is building a uh, stand-up elevated garden walk-in horseshoe off the edge of my deck for the first lady, and make it real nice with deck boards, where she can stand on it instead of having to stand on the mud, and she's going to be able to get all her vegetables and do all of her stuff. She loves doing that stuff, and there's going to be room for flowers as well, so that she can just make it pretty, and maybe a butterfly bush, because I love butterflies, and so maybe we'll have all sorts of things going on. We also had a storm last night, pretty good storm, gully washer. That means a lot of rain coming down really hard, really quick, and it knocked down my little arch in the corner of my yard. It's been going for a long time, but I walked out this morning to come to the studio 5 o'clock this morning, and it was laying on the ground. I'm like, well, I need to build another one of those. So I have that, and then I've got some other projects that I'm going to do. So I think if you like this content, number one, watch it so I know. And number two, leave me some comments. Let me know that you like that content, right? I'm here for you. It's a privilege for you to be here. I want to make sure you're here because you want to be here, right? And then like, comment, share this thing, tell your friends, and subscribe. We are less than 400 away from hitting 10,000. We've been around 10 years. It'd be nice to have those round numbers, 10,000 in 10 years. First 3-4 years, we had less than 1,000, I think, and then it just kind of took off. And then YouTube did their big block where they really just shut down our viewership and our visibility. So that slowed us down a little bit, but we're moving in that direction. So that is everything about the lathe. So I talk too much. So I had a topic. We talk about this on Chief Talk Thursday nights at 8:15. Great show. One of the fun things, that's Chief's show, is Chief Talk, and I am color commentary when I'm here. But he runs that show. It's his content. But we do the father son, old man, young man, generation gap stuff a lot. And pretty much it's all real. I mean, it is. We pretty much just let it out, and it's funny. And then everybody chimes in the comments. It's a great time. It's a great time, to be honest. And one of the things that we talk about, Chief is a huge quote unquote Star Wars fan. Asterisks. And I am a true Star Wars fan. Chief Asterisks. Bob, true. The true Star Wars fan. We're going to talk about that. But Tim Swanson, Cigars Daily, my friend, my mentor, my encourager, somebody to strive to be like. Dude's fantastic. His content is amazing. And just yesterday, he came out with a short video, 18 minutes. For me, it's short. Came out with a short video that talked about politics without talking about politics. And I'm like, oh, I got to steal that. But I didn't actually steal it. I actually stole adjacent it. I borrowed it without permission because I want to talk about it, because it really made me think. And Tim did a great job. I highly recommend you go watch his Libertad, Cuba Libertad video. Great video, lots of information, lots of way to think about it. I'm going to do a kindergartner's presentation on a college level thesis, on a master's level thesis. Tim did such a great job. But it's really made me think. All right, so let's get into politics real fast. There is possibility. There is saying. There is people saying that this country is, with this type of government, is gone, and this country with this type of government is on the ropes, and this type of government in this country is this and that and the other, and we are going to remove all of that from the world based upon perceived depression and all this other stuff. Notice I'm trying to use very bland words because I'm not getting into the politics of it. That's not what this is for. What I'm trying to do is have a centrist perspective right now, and just kind of present the facts of the emotions that are circling around right now. One of the facts of one of the emotions that are circling around right now is that hang on just a second. I got to get my phone. All right, I'm back. let me clear something out. This is sponsored by Camacho, and I should do a great job. I should be a professional. I should. I should. I really, really should. And I want to. But there are my life is crazy sometimes. Tons of work, um, all this other stuff. And if the first lady calls and she knows I'm in here shooting videos, um, there's something going on. And so I answer the phone. No questions asked. I will stop what I'm doing and answer the phone. Family first. And then we have a feller in our neighborhood that we basically adopted. He's an elderly gentleman. His name is John. I call him neighbor John. Love the guy. Um, but he's pretty much been shut in for 10, 12, 14 years. And we just kind of we've driven by his house hundreds of times. He used to do lots of woodwork outside. Yeah, he's got a killer shop set up. And I used to always want to go over and stop to him, but I'm like, I don't want to be that guy that goes over there and talks to him like, hey, I like your tools. Can I play with your tools? It just my pride wouldn't let me go up there. That just seemed weird. But his house started getting a little bit unkempt, I guess, and his yard really got overgrown. And so we started, and the first lady basically said, hey, let's go over there and just see if we can clean up his yard. And just slowly over time, we've helped him regain his life back and change his mindset. And he's basically become part of our family. And we're making his life better, more better moments. And that's important. Today was a very important day for John. Firstly, he's been taking him to the doctor a lot. Finally, starting to get him to the doctor, and it's been a long time. And so now he's seeing doctors, and they put him on some blood pressure medicine and some other stuff. And so he's been struggling with that because if you've ever taken blood pressure medicine, it can really knock you for a loop until your body gets used to it. But today he was going to do something um, to make his life more like living, but he had some concerns, and so we had a safety plan. And the safety plan was that he would keep his phone with him, and if something happened, he slipped and he fell, he'd be able to pick up the phone and call. And we actually scheduled it for today, right now, actually. And so my phone rang. I'm not apologizing for it. My phone rang, and I saw it, and it said neighbor John. I'm like, oh crap. Oh no. I'm ready to get up and run out of here. And grab my keys, grab my phone, call Sarah on the way out, and say, hey, I'm headed down there. Come on, bring the truck. I'm running down there. He's just a couple 5 houses down. And fortunately and unfortunately, fortunately, there was no crisis. Unfortunately, his blood pressure medicines got him feeling kind of blah, kind of. And we go down every week on Sunday for a couple hours and just do things to bring some normalcy. Little projects, little this, little that. And so he was calling to say, hey, I'm not feeling good. Can we take a day off? And it's on him. It's not on me. It's not on what I want done. It's what makes his life better. He controls his ship. I just row. So I said, okay, what about this other thing we're going to do today? He goes, I think we're going to pass. And I said, okay. So that's what I was doing. I was on the phone with neighbor John, and uh, and then I called First Lady and I said, hey, um, we're not going. We have an opening in our schedule, which I will fill with reviews because I've been very busy. I'll do some channel stuff, but um, don't plan on going down there today. And so uh, that was important. You're important. This is important. That's important too. So I apologize for the separation of the fluidity of the conversation I was having. I'm going to have to go back and figure it out. So I bet I'm going to chew my cabbage just a little bit and say the same thing again. So please bear with me, because as soon as I saw who it was on the phone, I shifted gears in my head and I went from being Bob the Cigar Guy to being Bob, neighbor John's friend. And so I lost my train of thought. I know we're talking about Cubans. Um, and so we're going to jump back into that. But let me take this time. We got a little bit of time. Let me take this time to encourage you to look for opportunities to help people that can't help you, to help people that when you give them of your resources, whether that be your time, your talents, your money, your stuff, whatever, they can't repay you in kind and you don't look for that payment. I truly believe that that is kindness. And I believe that if the world's currency ran off of kindness, a whole lot more things would be better. A whole lot more people would not go without. And the mindset would change. Now, take care of yourself. Don't go off on a crusade to where you're giving every minute of every day to everybody else. That's not healthy. There needs to be a balance. But if you look at your life and everything you do comes back to you, you're probably missing out on opportunities to make the world a better place, which you're put here for that reason. I do believe that. I believe you've been given gifts and talents and abilities and opportunities to make the world a better place. Because I bet you can figure out a time in your life when you couldn't give back to somebody who gave something to you that really was valuable and made a difference in your life. It's not a debt to them. That's a debt to whatever that, if you get the chance to, do. And it's easy not to. So I encourage you to do that. Let me get off my soapbox because that was not part of this thing, but evidently it was. Sorry. It's back. It's back. But it's not fully back. You've been a cigar smoker for a while when you can smoke your cigar and know that the whole thing's not lit. Can you do that? I've gotten to a point now to where, you'll puff it and you'll be like, oh, I got it coming. And if you hotbox, if you puff it real, real hard a whole bunch of times, then it will come back to burning. But there's a good chance of it burning wonky or lopsided because that side that you're puffing on really hard, although it's spreading the heat to the other part of the tobacco, it's actually pushing in on that area more. So it makes a cockeyed or wonky burn, right? So I like to, when I'm paying attention to it, just toast it up. So Cuba. Meat and taters right here. Some people say that the Cuban government is going to fall. Some people say that the liberation of the Cuban people will be removed from whatever government it is. I don't even remember anymore. It gets so confused. All these isms: communism, socialism, Marxism, poopism. I don't know. It's one of those non us governments that I've been trained up and and taught from birth that all of those are bad. I don't know enough about them to know it. From what I've learned and from the outside, it looks like it's bad. I don't know. It looks like oppression. I believe so, but I can't say empirically. I've never been there. Um, but I would believe from all the evidence that people are suffering from that government, and there's a potential that that government will fall. If that government falls, as you know, there is a Cuban embargo, a Cuban block on Cuban products to America: rum, sugar. You can't travel over there without special reasons. Cigars, Cuban cigars. You can buy Cuban cigars about anywhere else in the country but the United States of America because they're not allowed to be sold in the United States of America. Now, there are lots and lots of people that will go on holiday, as the people across the pond call it, vacation over to Europe or over to Central South America or to the islands, the Caribbean or whatever, and they will buy Cubans and they'll bring them back. And there's nothing, I don't think there's anything illegal about that. Some people will buy them and have them, they'll try to get them shipped in through customs and get away with it. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But um, you can't sell Cubans here. Right. Oh, I wasn't even going to talk about this yet. I was throwing a teaser out for the Star Wars part, but I guess we're here. Let's get here. Um, Number one, there would be problems with Cuban cigars coming to America to be sold in retail. This is me saying this, but there are problems. Problem number one: there is a huge market for counterfeit Cuban cigars. A couple of years ago, the statistic was that the number two counterfeited product in the world was Cuban cigars. The number one counterfeited product in the world was Apple products. But you're like, so those people are stealing. Absolutely. Those people are selling a product that they don't own, and they're giving us things that have rat droppings in it and hair in it and all this other stuff. They're sweepings. They're not even Cuban tobacco. They're just disgusting. They're bad, Bob. You're right. But those bad people make bad money, and they're going to fight hard to make sure that they don't lose that revenue. They cut corners. They're not going to be scrupulous. Number one. Number two, Cuba is a very small island and it is not covered every inch with tobacco. There's a math problem. Some people have said that by the amount of Cuban cigars that are being produced in the past years, recently, if you measured out how many acres of tobacco that would have to be to make a Cuban puro, all the tobacco comes from Cuba, you ain't got enough property to make all those cigars. So they're either putting in the dark with some rabbits and Barry White and making more tobacco babies, and they multiply, put some I don't know, special sauce on it, or it's not a true poodle. All tobacco comes from one country. There's been suspect about that. I don't know. I'm not going to do the math. I just have to trust people, and I saw it on the internet. If it's on the internet, it's right? So do your own due diligence on that. I have not done due diligence, so I'm just saying that's a possibility. I'm just throwing it out there. Third. Second. So Cuba is maxed out on their production. America, just America, smokes more cigars than the world over in multiples. Now, if you want all the good details, if you want all the meat of this, if you don't want the Reader's Digest version, you want the full. I almost said full Monty. If you want the full deal, Tim Swanson's uh, Libertad video that just came out has all that stuff. He does work, right? He's professional. He's not going to answer his phone because of a neighbor. He's going to have his phone off. He's got people to take care of that stuff while he's working. God, I love that guy. Derek's pretty cool too. But they don't have enough tobacco for the cigars they're producing, maybe, or they're maxed out. If we smoke more cigars as Americans than the whole world over, then that would double easily how many Cuban cigars you'd have to meet market demand. And I'm telling you, no. The first time they would bring Cuban cigars to America, anybody with any money and anybody who has never smoked a cigar before and everybody who else has always wanted to say they smoke a Cuban and this and that, they're going to buy boxes on boxes on boxes on boxes. And then there's going to be people who are going to be like, this is going to go away, so I'm going to buy a ton of boxes. I mean, it would probably devastate the Cuban cigar industry because Cuba's going to want to make money. And if I can sell one, then I can sell two. I'm going to sell two, and I'll just kind of skim I'll make them a little less. I'll use tobacco that I might not have used for this project, and I'm going to use it because you know them dumb Americans, they don't know what a Cuban cigar is anyway, so they won't know, right? That's possible. So that's a problem. Number 3, we have a problem with names. Macanudo, Punch, Romeo Julieta, Cohiba, and others. And Antonio Cleopatra, Romeo Julieta, Trinidad. These cigars are not only Cuban; they are New World, anywhere but Cuba, and they have those names in America because you can't have Cuban cigars here. What's going to happen there? Are all these major companies going to lose their name, their recognition, their pedigree because the Cubans have come in and now they have to change their name? Well, I tell you what, some of these companies are legacy brands. Monte Cristo, they ain't gonna roll over. They ain't gonna take this into court. So if Cuba got liberated, if they got their own different government, if the embargo was lifted, if all this other stuff was going on, it's going to take years before. Once again, Bob's unprofessional. The first lady is calling, so I will be right back. Sorry. I could edit this. I could. I could cut all this out and chop it up. But this is real. It's First Lady. She's fine. Everything's okay. But it's frustrating. I bet it's frustrating to you. And I apologize. So we covered the 3 points. We're going to kick that can down the road. I don't think that we are going to have Cuban cigars in America anytime soon, if ever. Um, I just don't see it. I think there are too many players with too big of a legacy investment to allow that to happen. I think the proper term is headwinds. There's too many headwinds for that to happen. It would be so expensive and it would be so whatever. And in America, cigars are anywhere, cigars or tobacco. And tobacco is a no-no, and so it's not like it's not like you're saving puppies, right? So there's not gonna be a huge upheaval from the whole country. So I just don't see um, a big backing of it. Less than 3% of Americans consider themselves cigar smokers, so 97% really don't care. So that's that. But let's get into we got Cuban cigars, we got Star Wars, and the Humidor Project. We talked about the Humidor Project. We talked about Cuban cigars. We're going to talk about Star Wars. And the thing is, the relationship between them. Here's the relationship, the very, very important relationship. Pay attention to this. If you don't think anything, you don't remember anything, remember this. The very tight, very core relationship between Cuban cigars, Star Wars, and my Humidor Project that's going on right now as we speak, right there, is that I'm talking about them on the same show. There is no parallel. There's no parallel. It's just a way, hopefully, to get somebody interested in going, what the heck is that boy talking about? And now, with the way this video is going, I don't know if I'd want them to watch it anyway because it is just, Joe Rogan doesn't have these problems. I don't know any other podcast. Mike Rowe doesn't have these problems. I got up my game. Anyway, Star Wars. Chief talk. Chief loves Star Wars. Adjacent. Every year around Christmas time, ever since he's been married, him and his wife, Shani Jade, and now their children, Jackson, Shepard, and Ember, will watch all the Star Wars movies, all the Star Wars franchise movies. And they'll watch them in what he calls order. Notice I said franchise and what he calls order because those are some of my peeves. He believes, and he's watched them a lot, he believes that they're all Star Wars movies. He is wrong. I am right. There are 3 Star Wars movies. Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Those 3. That's it. Everything else is everything else. Period. Now, do I like it? Yes. Jar Jar Binks, I thought he sucked. When Han Solo got stabbed, that was crap. I'm still mad about that. I don't care if he wanted to quit being on the franchise. I don't care. You stay there forever, right? And Carrie Fisher, she worked after she was dead, right? I love The Mandalorian. I love the Book of Boba Fett, but they are not Star Wars. They are Star Wars adjacent. That's like if you order a steak dinner and it comes with that garnish to make it fancy, a little horseradish dipping sauce on the side, and au jus maybe if you have prime rib. That is not a steak dinner. The steak is the steak dinner. Everything else is everything else. Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi are the steak in the steak dinner. Everything else is just accoutrement. It just gives you a better view, a better perspective into the depth of the world that you have walked into. And numbers. Stephen says, and others say, and even Star Wars says, Star Wars is number 4, Empire Strikes Back is number 5, and Return of the Jedi is number 6. It was the second trilogy. Bunk, boo-boo, baloney. The number 1 is Star Wars. The number 2 is Empire Strikes Back, and number 3 is Return of the Jedi. Fight me if you want to. Because let me take you back into a time with a young boy who was not very popular and a little bit awkward. going to the movie theater, getting ready to go to the movie theater, looking forward to standing in that long, long, long line. That was the first movie this kid ever got to go see with a friend and no grown-ups. The parents dropped them off. Remember, it was like yesterday. We had a yard sale the next day, and so we were getting on everybody's nerves. And a friend of mine's mom said, "Hey, why don't we let them go to the movies?" My mom said, "I don't think so." I said, "No, no, no, they'll be all right." And so, yeah, we went, and I did stupid things, but I got to watch the movie in a theater by myself. I think my feet touched the floor when I sat all the way back in the seat, but I'm not sure. I remember the buildup. I remember Hardee's, when you could buy the Hardee's Star Wars cups and buy the Star Wars posters. Had them up on my wall. I did, all three of them. Had all the cups. Star Wars was like nothing that has ever been seen before. The effects were not computer. They were huge models that had thousands of hours, if not tens of thousands of hours, painfully, time consumingly working on to make it perfect and shooting all those shots, and then all the locations, and then all the videos, and then all the footage to put it all together as a ragtag group coming across the galaxy to save everything from an oppressive, destructive force, and then entering in world problems that we could apply to our lives, giving positivity with the force, with kindness, and using that to make things better, helping out those that can't help themselves without asking for anything in return, forever sacrifices, love stories, laugh stories, epicness. Oh, I can still see long, long ago in a land far, far, in a universe far, far away, whatever, when it was going up and you could barely read it as it was going up and going away. God, I love that thing. And the music and the fact that the sound of the lightsabers or of the blasters shooting was somebody taking a metal rod and smacking one of the retention wires to a phone pole, and it makes a pew noise. And then I found out about it, and then I'm out in my yard beating on that wire, pretending like I'm shooting off stormtroopers. The emotion that caused for a generation, because there was nothing like it. It was not over commercialized. You couldn't buy every last thing Star Wars. What you got was what you could get, and everybody would get it because they all liked it. Nobody had ever seen anything like that before. Nothing like that had ever been made before. The budget. Oh my God, the budget. Oh. And now you've got all these other movies, yeah, with all these other characters, these Star Wars adjacent things, yeah. They're great. I enjoy them. But you know what? It's been done. A lot of that stuff's done on computer. There's craftsmanship, and I'm not saying that it's not a skill set to do that, because it is. I have not got that skill set. Me and that computer do not get along. And I am in awe with what people can do. But I'm a meat and taters guy. And to pick up a paintbrush, to pick up a hammer and a nail, to pick up some block planes, to crank up a mill or a lathe, or molding something, vacuum molding, or just to create a physical entity, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of whatever. And if you mess up, you can't just change it by clicking the mouse and removing whatever it is. I'm not saying that it's not a skill. It is a skill, and it is a very important skill. Yes, we need houses built, but more technology is being put into houses. I build cars for a living. I build cars for a living. And every bolt and every screw and every plate and everything has to be put in that car. But that car is a computer on wheels. The technology is is we build rocket ships, for God's sakes, that just don't go off the ground. The technology is so far advanced. It's not carburetors and jets, fuel jets anymore. You know, it's not setting your timing. You have to do okay, you got to do some of that, but the computer does that, right? So I'm not saying it's a negative, because I don't want anybody thinking that I'm casting shade on somebody who doesn't have calluses on your hands. I have many calluses on my hands. I have broke fingers. I've got scars. I've got this and that. But that's the path I chose, because that's my skill set. Um, but I don't cast shade on anybody who has soft hands. Now, if you're a dude and you get manicures, I got an issue with that. But I'm an old guy, and no, mm, mm, no, no. But it's a different mindset between the original Star Wars trilogy and all this other stuff coming. I'd love to go one day. I'm going to be honest and transparent. Don't let Chief know. I'd love to go one day to Disney and go to the cantina and build my lightsaber and do all that stuff. I'd love to go to the Star Wars thing. I'd love to see all that. I would. I'm I like that stuff. I really, really do. Mandalorian, loved it. Book of Boba Fett, banging. Um, Watched it over and over and over again. I'd watch Mandalorian, then I watch Ted Lasso, then I watch Mandalorian, then I watch Peaky Blinders, then I watch Book of Boba Fett, and I go back to Ted Lasso and Little Forged in Fire in the middle of that, and Junkyard Wars. Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe. That's where I would sit. Pawn Stars and Storage Wars, right? Yeah, that's pretty simple. Um, but where was I going with that? This is a day. This is a day. I'm just in it. Um, Welcome to my world. We got what? 13 minutes. We can sit here and watch me smoke a cigar, but you know what? That's weird. That's weird. So let's fill that time with something. Let's find something valuable, something to look forward to, something that may have effect on your life. PCA is around the corner. If you don't know what PCA is, it's the Premium Cigar Association. If you don't know what that means, PCA is an organization that mainly deals with legislation and laws that are contrary to cigar manufacturers, cigar sales, cigar smokers. And so, if a township or a city or whatever wants to ban smoking, or they want to bring a new tax against smoking, or they want to litigate against, which the FDA did a huge thing with trying to stop making new blends, new brands, new bans. They wanted to make everybody turn in all their recipes and send in hundreds and hundreds of samples, and it was going to cripple the industry. And then they were going to tax them a whole bunch of money, and all that got squashed, partly in part by PCA. And so they are an advocate for cigar lounges, cigar smokers. But what they also do, or cigar lounges and cigar manufacturers, but what they also do is they have a convention every year. This is what's important for you. That convention is huge, huge. This is our fifth year, fourth year. This is our fourth year. This year it's in New Orleans again. Next year will be in Vegas if we go, if we're invited. But there are hundreds upon hundreds of cigar manufacturers. at this place. They set up a booth just like any other convention. And then your cigar accessories and your cigar ancillaries, humidors and stuff like that, they're all there as well. And then some neat new stuff. And this is where they put out their new, and you can't go. Oh, thanks, Bob. You tell me about something I can't do. But you said it affected me. It does. It does, because you can have an effect on this, because this is where this is where manufacturers sit down with retailers and they pretty much write out, it's called writing paper. They pretty much write out their orders for the year. So you'll go to PCA and you have a good time. You take some classes. You go to 3 or 4 days on the floor and you go to all the manufacturers you want to go to, set up meetings or just pop ups, and you will place your orders. And then you will set up a payment plan and a delivery plan, and you will get your cigars. Well, this is where they put out their brand new cigars. And so a lot of these retailers will get a cigar to try, and they're like, you know what? I've heard about this cigar. I've heard about that cigar. I've heard about whatever's going on. By the way, Davidoff is going to have a bumping booth. Davidoff, Zeno Nicaragua, Avo, Baccarat, Ferio, Tigo, and Camacho. By the way, this episode is brought to you by Camacho. Live life bold, but it's going to be a great time. We got lots of interviews going on, but they're going to write paper. So right now, if you go to ChevetteReport.com, we have tons of press releases. Press releases are coming across my email and Chief's email, and he's putting them up there so that you can see what's coming. And so what I suggest you do is you go to your local purveyor, your local lounge, and say, hey, I'm really interested in this cigar. I've already talked about how to make sure you get it in your humidor, but bring it to their attention so that they'll go to that booth and they will work on getting those cigars for you, because they want to sell you cigars. And you know that you'll buy cigars more if you have more cigars that you like. Pretty simple, supply and demand, right? And so there's going to be deals. They usually buy deep. Some manufacturers be like, you buy so many boxes, you get so much money off next boxes, or you buy so many boxes, you get so many free, or you get the swag pieces, or you'll get special events, or you'll get special release cigars or whatever. And they have lots and lots going on. And the only people that are allowed to go are the manufacturers, the retailers, and media. That's it. And so Chief and I, and the first lady be going, she doesn't go on the show floor. But Chief and I will be going, we'll be doing tons and tons of videos, tons and tons of interviews. We've already got them scheduling up already to get some heavy hitters. So we will be at the Camacho booth, the Davidoff booth, the Avo booth, the Zeno booth, the Baccarat booth, the Zena Nicaragua booth, and hopefully we'll see Michael Herklots Ferretigo. I think that's on the books as well. So you're going to get to see those videos. We will be grinding extremely hard, making sure that we get tons and tons and tons of content for you that hopefully you'll enjoy. Also, I will be having a evening show. This is the third year we've done it. I'll be having evening live show every night after PCA called PCA After Dark, right? That's pretty good, right? I came up with that all by myself. Boy, that's a smart thing. PCA After Dark was after dark. It's after PCA, so I guess that fits. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpack. I'm going to show you all the stuff that I got, because we get samples, and sometimes things just end up in my bag. Anyway, but we get samples and we get all sorts of stuff and swag and this and that, and I can show you what's going on. And I will kind of give you a recap of my day. So in the recap of my day, you'll kind of find out what all is out there, what's hot and popping, because you can always, the owner of your shop that goes for 3 or 4 days is going to call into the shop. So if you see a video of what I'm doing on Peace After Dark and you say, "Do I really want that?" Call your shop, talk to your shop guy that's there. They're not going to leave the door closed, and say, "Hey, when Boss Man calls, tell him I saw this and I think this would really do well. Bring it to his attention, because the floor is huge. The PCA floor is huge, and so you can't see everything. You have to be selective as to what you see. If you just wander around, you're not going to see hardly anything, because it's overwhelming. There's so much. It's crazy how much stuff there is. Also, if you're not subscribed to, if you're not a friend of mine on Facebook, I highly recommend that you be a friend of mine on Facebook if you want to know what's going on with PCA. It's Bob Finley, my logo. Um, uh, Bob Cigar Guy approved the red, white, and blue logo, the little round logo, stampy logo. That's my that's my Facebook profile picture. And why would you want to have that? Because throughout the video or throughout the day between videos, I do lots of shorts lives. Right? I'll just go live real quick and I'll say, "Look who I ran into," and you will see some amazing people. I got to meet Ocho Cinco. I got to meet one of the guys from Bronx Tale. I got to meet Guy Fieri, Mike Tyson. I got to see. I didn't get to meet. But then there's other movers and shakers in the industry. Tim Swanson, Abe DeBabna. I got to see them as well. Jeff Borshwitz. Those are some of the big people in the online retail line. And you'll see other people and just jump in and get to see them as well. So it's kind of letting you see what we get to do. It's a privilege to be there, and it's a responsibility to make sure that we go there and get tons and tons of good content that you'll like, that you'll be interested in, and that may make your life better. That's our goal. Now, my goal is also to smoke cigars. And just so you know, over that time we're there, 4 or 5 days, I can guarantee you I'll smoke 100 cigars. I guarantee you. I put money on it. And I'm not talking about smoking to this far on the cigar. I'm going to smoke that cigar back like this. The floor is open 8, 9 hours. There's early hours. There's meetings before. There's parties after. I'm doing a review every hour. And so I smoke the cigar during the review. Almost every review, they get handed a cigar and I smoke the cigar. And I will smoke that cigar down. If the interview is not taking an hour, I will smoke that cigar. Walking from this place to the next place. Last year was a turning point for recognition, being recognized by people in the industry, people that we did not know, industry titans that we did not know even knew us. It helps that I have Bob the Cigar Guy plastered across my chest on my shirt, but they come up and say, "Hey, Bob, hey, come here. Have you seen such and such and so and so? Have you got time to do a video?" And we actually had to say, "Bud, I'll see if I get you in." I actually have a full schedule because we do plan to grind. We grind. I may not be professional, but I grind. Chief's a lot more professional than I am. He does great work. But they'll say, "Hey, try my cigar," and all this and that. And usually I'll say, "Hey, let me get." Usually when they give you a cigar, they want you to smoke it right then. They want your instant opinion. And so I usually ask them, say, "Hey, can I get at least 3? A 5-pack could be better, but can I get at least 3?" What I'll do is when I get back, I will review your cigar, and then I will have one for smoking now, and I will have one to give to Chief, because Chief is behind the camera. People talk to him, but it's usually, if I'm talking to Jack Heyer, Davidoff. Jack Heyer has a handler, and so the guy who sets up and says, "Jack, you got to go stand over there. Jack, you're doing this in 20 minutes. Jack, go get something to drink real quick. You look a little dehydrated because you got the next hour. You're booked with so and so and such and such." And so the handlers, and Chief is my handler. He's the one that says, "Okay, go here. This is where we go. Come on, hurry up. We got to go. But I got to pee. You ain't got time to pee. You got to hold it." And then he goes up to the booth and he goes, "Hey, I'm Chief with the Bob the Cigar Guy. There's Bob right over there. And where do you want to set up? What do you want to do?" And then he comes over to me and he gives me points and tells me what I need to do. "Hey, you need to cha. And then we just chop it up like that. And so dealing with the talent, I guess is what they're called, whoever the figurehead is that we're interviewing with, I usually say to them, "Hey, I need to get some cigars," and they're the ones say, "Hey, get them some cigars," and it runs off that way. So I make sure that I try to take care of Chief as much as possible because his job is harder than mine. I just have to, I have to just, when the lights come on and the microphone starts, I got to smile and just talk. He's got to take all that raw footage. He's got to chop it all up. He's got to edit it and make it something valuable. So he has a much harder job. Making me look good, that's a full-time job plus. So, and we made it with 2 interruptions, a bunch of brain farts, and some content. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed um, the lathe content. I talked long enough. I don't think I'm going to need to really speed it up any. I might have to speed up a little bit, but not by much. So you'll be getting to see it basically in real time. Leave me comments, leave me likes, leave me subscribes, leave me this, leave me that, leave me the other. Right? Share. Get this thing out. Let people know we got less than 400 left to hit 10K, and I'd like to do it. When we do, we're going to have a big giveaway. I'd like to give you something. I would, but I can't do it till you do your job. Make it happen. I'll see you later. I love you. Love yourself. Be your biggest hero. Because you're one of mine. I mean that. Better tell you.